Over the next 5 minutes, I want to go over some ways that you and anyone can use to get better at Supreme Commander. Coming in at number 1 is watch your replays, not only of your wins, but especially your losses. Yes, it is fun to see your wins and see what you did right and see you crush the enemy, but especially for ones where you lose, watch the game and try to figure out why you lost and what your opponent did that caught you off guard. If you're constantly being overrun with units, you're probably a little bit slow to eco, maybe you're not building enough factories, and you should look at what the opponent is doing and try to do something similar. You can also take this mindset into games that you won, but try to look at it from the opponent's point of view. If you were the opponent and you were playing against yourself, what would you do in that situation to come out on top? Next up is another tip you'll hear for almost every single game in the RTS genre, and that is to learn the hotkeys. It might seem a little intimidating at first if you're new to the RTS genre, but being able to issue commands more efficiently means you're able to issue more of them. And not only this, but once you're used to the hotkeys, it honestly becomes even easier than having to use your mouse to scroll through menus to try to find the exact button you're looking for. And being able to do more means your opponent has to react to more, which is always a good thing for you. This next tip will be made easier if you do learn the hotkeys, and that is to use more harassment techniques in your games. Harassment techniques, generally speaking, is where you don't send in a massive platoon of units as a main frontal force, but rather send in just a couple units just to harass the outskirts of your enemy. The reason this can be annoying is that for every unit you send against the enemy has to send at least that many units or maybe more to destroy it. Of course, this is void if they have defensive structures already there, but if you send 2 tanks to go destroy a mass extractor on their outskirts, they'll have to send at least 2 tanks to go destroy it, and maybe you have a better position on them so your tanks win out. In that case, they'd have to send even more units. And what this is doing in essence is taxing their actions per minute. Either they respawn and send a couple tanks, in which case maybe you destroy mass extractor, maybe you don't, but in the case that they don't respond, that's a free mass extractor. And it takes less brain power to send the tanks across the map than it does to respawn to tanks across the map. So by sending a bunch of different harassment units to a bunch of different places, you're taxing the opponent's brain power and taking that away from more important decisions they could be making, like when to tech up, or maybe microing a bigger battle going on elsewhere. This next tip might sound weird at first, but it actually helped me when I was learning, and that is to play with the fog of war off. Now, yes, I know scouting is very important and it is important to know how to scout, but I remember there was a match when I was first learning that an opponent built an experimental monkey lord, and for one, I didn't scout it, I didn't know it was coming, but 2, even if I did scout it, and this is key, I wouldn't have known how to stop it. And this is sort of the line I want to draw. Play with fog off and keep looking at your opponent until you know how to stop what they're doing. If you look at them and you still have no idea what to do, just look at their base. Look at their mass extractors, see if they're teched up, look at how much power they have, look at how many factories they have, and use that as a guide for your own base. And what you're doing as you do this is scouting. So once you know how to stop them, once you're on par with them, then you can go ahead and turn fog back on, and then you can actually scout with the scout planes. But having the fog off when you are brand new removes that extra layer of brain tax that we were talking about earlier, and at the same time it teaches you what scouting is supposed to do. You're supposed to know what the enemy is doing at all times. It's just in multiplayer you need to scout manually. My next tip is to play against the AI. And yes, you can start in the campaign if you're brand new, but I'm mainly talking about the Skirmish AI. And yes, of course, you can start on easy and normal, and there is a hard AI that just cheats and gets more resources, but nowadays there's some excellent modded AI on FAF. And in fact, the match you've been watching was against the M28 AI during one of our community game days. And in the description for this AI, it claims to be as good as 600 to 1100 elo. And I absolutely can confirm that this AI will give you a run for your money. If all you do is train against this AI and then you jump into 1v1s, you'll be in a great spot. We even had a very intense moment during this game where the AI built a Tech 4 nuke launcher, so a game ender, and me and our allies, we tried this last desperate push with strat bombers, with experimental land units, and we almost just quite took it out. It was such an intense run, but we actually failed to take out this nuke launcher, and it was just an incredibly intense moment, and it was against an AI of all things. So you can absolutely have fun against the AI, no matter your skill level. I'll admit, I got carried pretty hard on this one, but it was still really fun. And in contrast to what we just talked about, my next tip is to, yes, go ahead and play against real players. If you've been following the tips in this video, you know how to scout, you've been keeping up with the M27 AI, you can play against real players. Not everyone is an expert. There's a lot of people that are just starting out. And if you lose, so what? Who cares? Just go ahead and watch the replay, discover why you lost, and go ahead and queue again. Nowadays, FAF has 2v2, 3v3, and 4v4 modes, which takes some of the pressure off of just you to do everything. So if you want to start by playing in those modes, go ahead and do it. And what's even better than playing against random people you don't know? Play with people you do know. Better yet, play with someone better than you and have them act as sort of a coach. It's incredibly helpful to get information from someone that knows very well what they're doing and have them pass along things to you in real time. It's super helpful, and it can be a lot more fun than just playing alone. And if you don't know anyone that plays Supreme Commander, worry not, I actually have a Discord channel specifically oriented towards getting new players into the game. We do community games, there's people of all skill levels, and it's just overall a very welcoming place to be. The match you've been watching is actually from one of the community game days that we had. So I'll leave a link for my Discord down below, and I hope to see you there. And my last tip is none other than just play more. Yes, you can learn ways to be more efficient, but there really is no substitute for just getting some more time in. As with everything, the more you do something, the more it becomes habit, and the less you'll have to worry about the brain tax because it'll just be muscle memory. And before long, you might even be teaching newbies a couple tricks yourself. So whichever method you choose, whether it's AI, whether it's random matches, whether it's friends on Discord, just get out there and do it and have fun with it. But yeah guys, leave a comment if there's anything that helped you when you were learning, and stay tuned for more to come.